I enjoy the Legal Match format because it allows me to receive a variety of questions. I have had people reach out for legal help on contract issues on all matters, from something as straightforward as filing articles of incorporation all the way through to litigating whether or not a lease is enforceable. And the variety of the subject matter, even though it all has to do with contracting, is enjoyable. So I have received from Legal Match not only a variety of clients and a variety of opportunities for me to engage with people that are just good people, but I've also received an opportunity to make an additional income that I think is a very convenient way to produce those kind of rewards. Legal Match is a positive impact for me because it gives me the exposure to people who are in need of the kind of legal work that I like to do. I do not have my own website, and I don't see a need to have my own website, given that Legal Match is the opportunity for me to get my name out there. I understand that Legal Match is a platform for many, many attorneys. And fortunately, my connection with Legal Match allows me to contact the clients that reach out in Ohio for the transactional law work that they need. So Legal Match not only puts me out there, but actually helps filter those clients that I would otherwise not be able to find necessarily. I've connected with clients all over Ohio, and using an online format, it's actually working very well. So one of the benefits of Legal Match is it makes it much more convenient for me to connect with the clients I'm looking for. COVID-19 was a challenging time for anyone practicing, and my practice was just beginning to get off the ground. I'm also a subject matter expert consultant with another consulting group, and my time spent during COVID was definitely tied to a computer. My retirement happened just before the COVID lockdowns and all began, so I was already at home full time. But my home office was not necessarily up to snuff. And so COVID actually encouraged me to become more professional in my home office as well. My timing of the day, my technology that I use, all of that was impacted by how COVID made us learn how to practice online. And I suspect that if it weren't for COVID and bringing me to an online platform in the consulting business, I may not have connected with Legal Match. So I sort of am grateful that I was forced into an online format that I think works very well. First of all, Legal Match support has been excellent as far as I'm concerned. I reached out to Legal Match in response of an advertisement, so to speak, looking for attorneys, and I was dealt with very professionally. I was given plenty of time to think about whether or not I wanted to join Legal Match. And as a matter of fact, I was in the middle of a home remodel and realized I couldn't put the time into it that I wanted to. So they allowed me to come back to them several months later to find out whether or not my needs could still fit with Legal Match. And from the very beginning, I was given a support personnel to help me get through all of the learning curve of the Legal Match format online. The products that Legal Match have produced for my online administrative support are rather intuitive. There are a few things that I've been able to explore and make suggestions on, and actually those suggestions have gone up and have made a difference as far as I know. So the Legal Match support that I get has to do with making phone calls for my clients, following up with initial consultations to find out if someone is still interested in pursuing the relationship with me as an attorney. It saves me that kind of time for sure, but I think it's also more professional for an attorney to have an additional person reaching out there on their behalf, especially when we, like myself, are running a solo office. So the Legal Match experience has been very fruitful and I believe professional in how it supports me. I would say on the average, the leads that I get from Legal Match would be 3 to 4 times a week. I get a new lead. And in my area of law, the practice of transactional law, most of those leads will actually generate into a consultation, which I offer for free. And by the end of that consultation, I would say between 60 and 80%, this seems like a large gap, but I would say between 60 and 80% of the consultations I receive actually become clients of mine. And the work that I do usually has 2 or 3 stages to it. So these are clients that I hold on to for weeks at a time. A few of them will be enduring clients. Other clients that I've been able to do 1 or 2 things for have come back to me for additional work as well, without having obviously to reach back to me through the Legal Match. So the client leads are definitely enough to keep me going. And when I compare that to the expenses that I'm incurring with Legal Match and some other support accounts that I have, I typically don't have a problem making the break-even point happen sometime within the first week of the month. I am aware that other lead generating systems are out there, but I believe Legal Match has a larger spread across the social media networks. For instance, I'm a member of LinkedIn, and as far as I know, Legal Match is the only lead generating source that I have seen on LinkedIn in any significant way. And what that tells me is that Legal Match takes seriously the type of clients that we would be looking as attorneys to pursue. Not only are they widespread, but they're reaching out to clients in a professional environment like LinkedIn. And I value that. The clients that have reached out to me have reached out to me from both sources, the LinkedIn sources as well as online sources, by virtue of them looking at for a search. Legal Match also turns up at the beginning of searches, so I know that they're doing a good job trying to market the service as much as possible. The Legal Match membership affords me several tools in the software platform. One of the most important tools for me is taking notes inside the body of a virtual client file. I have my own set of notes, and those notes are helpful, but I often, when I'm on the phone with a client, will open up their Legal Match website file and type the notes for the phone call in while I'm actually having the phone call. And the documentation there is fluid in the sense that I just save that and I have access to it at any time in the future. So if I can keep myself organized through using Legal Match's notes page, it helps my practice. I also find that when I reply to clients, the reply letter is very professional, and my sort of fill in the response reply affords me to pick specific dates and times at a time when I'm responding to the client, so that they know which dates and times I'm available for a consultation. And when they respond and select one of those dates, it automatically goes into a calendar that Legal Match sends reminders for. So I'm all about getting reminders and administrative support automated. It just makes things easier for me as a solo practitioner. Some of the early benefits of Legal Match are that you can look through the incoming client requests and decide what you think that topic is worth. For instance, I would not recommend expecting to make each and every person a client of yours, though I do recommend replying to each and every person who sends in a request. And what I mean by that is there will be folks who want redress legally, but they are not going to find that that's very easy, and it's certainly not profitable. I had a case where someone had a dispute with a car dealership, and it's not something that they would be willing to afford to spend the money on in order to get the help. So I do try to make a response each time, and I do recommend that you do that, because I think it's important that not only do the clients feel heard, that we as attorneys have an obligation to make sure people don't leave the experience of looking for an attorney with a sour taste. But the responses that I give, oftentimes I can plug in a website for them to go to for getting help from a small business association or from a small claims court matter, for instance, something that I wouldn't necessarily find the time to take advantage of. So as young attorneys, or as attorneys who, perhaps like myself, having practiced for 30 years, receive these kind of requests, be careful to decide whether or not you think the client should be embroiled and your time be embroiled in a subject matter which may not have the financial payoff that would be required. Another thing to consider with Legal Match as a newly using attorney is to ask for the administrative help. I was able to call the person who's appointed to be my administrative help a number of times so I could figure out exactly what I was looking for on the Legal Match website. She was able to guide me into understanding how to make new templates, for instance. I would highly recommend that you craft your own templates. There are a few that are built for you from the beginning, but I, over time, have developed at least 7 other templates that I now can use as my fill in the blanks response so that my responses to the clients are much easier for me, given their subject matter. And each time I pull up one of those templates, I tailor it just a little bit to the individual facts that I'm presented with. So take advantage of that too. The template responses are a very good tool. The Legal Match membership can be arranged in a number of different ways. I chose the commitment for 3 years at a certain rate, knowing that I figured that this would be about the amount of time I would have to understand whether or not I would want to take it further. But there are lower levels of commitment. And if you are concerned whether or not you feel comfortable in this format, I recommend that you consider the lower levels of commitment. But I do believe that Legal Match can be an enhancement to anybody's practice. As a matter of fact, when I get clients in that I can't help, I will also assist them in finding an attorney in their local area so that I can pass the person on to an attorney who perhaps isn't a Legal Match attorney. And when I mentioned to those attorneys that these clients are coming to me through Legal Match, they were very interested to find out how that works, because I believe Legal Match can even be an augment to an attorney's regular client load that they get in a face-to-face manner. So while I choose to practice essentially part-time, someone who is a full-time practitioner certainly could use Legal Match to augment their client load and maybe even build their client load to the point where if they prefer not using Legal Match eventually, that can be accomplished. But it's definitely worthwhile to build out a client base that you won't otherwise reach. That's one of the benefits to taking on a Legal Match account.